by our first guest this morning. He is the Executive Director of Fleece and Thank You. Nicholas Kristock joins us now on the MegaCast. Nicholas, thanks for being with us today.
Hey there, how's it going?
Going pretty well. How are you, and how's the team over at Fleece and Thank You?
Oh, just fantastic. Really appreciative that you're having us on today. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate having you on. Love the name. Explain to me, what does Fleece and Thank You do in our community?
For sure. Fleece and Thank You is the state's largest consistent service provider of colorful fleece blankets for all pediatric inpatients and hospital units across the state. So we partner with every single children's hospital unit, all 22 in the state of Michigan, in an attempt to make 30,000 fleece blankets every year. Every single blanket we deliver also carries a video message from the person who made it to the patient that receives it. And through our technology, the patient can then send a thank you message back to the blanket maker, bringing it full circle.
So 30,000 blankets a year, that's no small feat. Is this being ran sort of in like a warehouse scenario? Is it all volunteer-made blankets? I mean, who are making these 30,000 blankets a year? That's a lot. I would think it's a great pace for just regular people who are volunteering their time to cover that.
Yeah, Fleece and Thank You has a 6,000 square foot facility in Farmington Hills, Michigan, 3 full-time staff members, 2 part-time. And we work with about 80,000 people a year, talking corporations, businesses, schools, churches, you name it. We're working with 400 plus groups a year to make tons and tons of blankets and video messages, package them up, take them through our quality control process, and then deliver them to one of our hospital partners.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock. He's the founder and executive director of Fleece and Thank You with us today on the MegaCast. And you are the founder of Fleece and Thank You. When did you find this organization, and what sparked this idea and then ultimately led you to bring this to fruition?
I'm a big believer in asking questions. I think if you're lost in life, don't know where you're going, just ask a ton of questions and you can find your way. And I used to live in Australia, moved back to Michigan in 2015. And as I was landing home, I got this text message from my twin sister who was in pediatric oncology at Mott Children's Hospital. And she said, "Nick, when you get a second, can you make a blanket for a kid in the hospital?" And I started asking questions. Well, how many blankets do you need? How often do you need them? And her answers back to me were, "We always need blankets. They change the room and we never have enough." And I was scratching my head that one of the best children's hospitals in the country wouldn't have enough of something that they need. So I picked up the phone that day, October 1st, 2015. I called every hospital in the state and everyone gave me the same answers. They said, "Nick, we always need blankets, change the room, never have enough." And I said, "Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, but I know we can start this. Let's just figure out how many kids go into the hospital every year, and let's make that many blankets." In our great state of Michigan, that's around 30,000 kids a year. So we have that mission to make 30,000 fleece blankets every single year. And more than just that comfort and color, we know how badly kids in the hospital need connection. And that's where that video message piece comes into play.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock on the MegaCast. He's the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You. So you mentioned a few times those video messages. When people are making are the people that are making the blankets in your facilities, or the volunteers, are they making that as they're sending that out, or is that communication sparked after the initial exchange of these blankets?
Yeah, it's definitely a common question because this is, unique technology to what anyone has seen in philanthropy. And so, spoiler alert, we don't tape a DVD to the blankets. We actually make it really easy. After you're done making your blanket, you just take your cell phone. You can take a video on that, as many takes as you like. You're going to upload it on our website, and our website's going to give you back a code. On every single Fleece and Thank You blanket, we have a special video message patch on it. You'll just handwrite your code right on your video message patch. On our side, we review and approve all those videos. Then that blanket goes to Chloe in the hospital. She uses that code to unlock your video, and then she's able to send a video, picture, or written message back. We approve it on our side, and you get an email saying patient sent you a response.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock, the founder and executive director of Fleece and Thank You on the MegaCast all across the state of Michigan on our family of television, radio, and other media outlets. And that's so important, having those messages, too, and having that communication beyond just somebody made me this blanket. Somebody cared enough to provide me with this warmth and this comfort while I'm in a spot that's definitely uncomfortable and it can be lonely. But having that person-to-person interaction, especially now in the age that we're in with the COVID-19 pandemic and how much that's also been shut down just beyond the normal realm, it becomes so much more important. And from your experience, having run this organization, having been involved in sparking those conversations and those new relationships between those making the blankets and those kids receiving the blankets, have those relationships sustained themselves? Do these volunteers who are providing this warmth and comfort to these kids, do they continue to have that communication with these families afterward? And how important are those interactions tend to be beyond when the children are, of course, in those hospitals?
Yeah, probably something we've all learned in the last 14 months is just how important it is to us to belong to something, to a community, to others, how important it is to connect. And for these kids, they go into the hospital and for the first week or two, they're celebrities and calls and visits and messages. And then that kind of all drops off, and it drops off quick. And they're still inside that room feeling like the world outside has forgotten about them. So when we deliver that video message, it's Nick's message coming into the room, and it's a reminder to them that I still matter to the world outside, and I need to continue to fight to get back to that world outside these four walls. And we've seen some incredible connections made between community members and kids in the hospital. We've seen parents who have made blankets with their work, and 3 months later, their child goes in and receives a blanket from the event that they made blankets at. We've seen schools make blankets, and months later, one of their students goes in and blankets from their school event happen to make it to the bed of that patient. We've seen people connect. We've set people up, blanket makers to recipients, when they both want to take that next step and meet. There's some amazing stories and connections that have come out of this video message piece. It makes it a really special and important part of our work.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock. He is the founder and executive director of Fleece and Thank You with us on the MegaCast. And Nicholas, when did you start this organization? Because you gave us the origins of it, but how long has this been going on?
Yeah, founded in October of 2015. And so coming up in 2 months, we'll turn 6 years old.
And in that time, I know you've mentioned earlier, about 30,000 blankets are made each and every year. Do you have an estimate over the almost 6 years now that your organization has been in operation, just how many kids have received blankets?
Yeah, we're up into the hundreds of thousands now, which is really special and a testament to the community of Michigan. We get, like I said, 80,000 pairs of hands a year that help with this effort to make this a consistent service. And I really believe, and where we all believe on the team here that we're going, is Michigan will be the first state to figure out how you blanket every single hospital bed. And we will take that playbook and expand regionally and nationally, where in the region we need 151,000 blankets. Across the country, we need just south of 1 million blankets a year, so that every child, every time, no matter what time of year, what hospital they're in, they're staying overnight, there's a colorful fleece blanket and video message of support waiting on the bed for them when they start that treatment journey.
Nicholas Kristock joins us today on the MegaCast. He is the founder and executive director of Fleece and Thank You. You can find more on the organization on their website, fleeceandthankyou.org. And Nicholas, as you're nearing year 6 of running this organization, let's travel back a little bit, because you have a bit of an interesting background. You are a native of Novi, an Oakland University grad where you played D1 soccer. You moved back into the United States after playing professional soccer in Australia for a couple of years. So my question for you, having had such a big background in athletics, having had such a interesting background, what led you into nonprofit work?
When I was in Australia, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and the beach is only so exciting. And so I started using that free time volunteering, and I started volunteering in 4 major charities that worked with kids in the hospital and 1 major nonprofit that served our homeless friends on the street. And philanthropy, I became obsessed with it, truthfully. And so when I moved back to Michigan, I was ready to move on from soccer, and I knew that philanthropy, charity, nonprofit, social impact was where my fit was. And selfishly, I said, I've got to make, my stake here, and this is what my purpose is, and this is where I need to be.
Nicholas Kristock joins us, the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You, as in November, there'll be 6 years of their service to kids all throughout our community, all throughout the state of Michigan, providing blankets and comfort not only in the form of blankets, but also in the form of well wishes from people who are volunteering their time to provide that comfort to these kids. And so, on that note, Nicholas, how do people get involved with this? And how do they get the materials? How do they get the blankets to you? What do they need to do to provide their own form of this comfort to these kids in hospitals?
We have made getting involved in supporting children in the hospital as easy as it can possibly be. From the comfort of your own home, from inside your business, wherever your group meets or doesn't meet, you can order blanket kits from 1 to thousands right on the Fleece and Thank You website. Those can ship, again, right to your front door, your business, etc. We can get together on a video call, make those together. You can make those individually with your family over Thanksgiving or the holidays. And then those blankets come back to our facility. They go through a quality control process that involves a hospital-grade washing and drying unit, getting them to be 99.999% germ-free. We package that up and deliver your blanket and video message to the next hospital and bed in the state of Michigan that needs its comfort. So we've made it really easy. You can order your kits right at fleeceandthankyou.org. If you're someone who's looking to get involved, just do a little bit more. This is as easy as it's going to come. You can do it right from your own home.
And what's the reaction from the kids when they're receiving these blankets and then when they're receiving those messages too? And then over time, as those kids are interacting with this blanket, as they're experiencing the harrowing experience of being in a hospital as it is for anybody, but let alone a child, what is their reaction to receiving this gift just out of the goodness of another person's heart?
If you put yourself in that situation, it's a diagnosis you don't understand. It's a hectic day, and you're walked into this room that you don't want to be in. Plain white sheets, dark beige wallpaper, but then sitting there right on the bed is this rolled up piece of color. And you look at it, you open it up, and you realize it's a nice, big, comfy blanket. You wrap yourself around it, and those kids instantly feel that comfort. You see that smile, you see the color light up their eyes, and for the parents, then they get to watch that video message. For them, they often tell us, when we saw that blanket on the bed, it was truly the first good piece of news we'd had all day. It was the first reason we had to believe that there could be some hope here, that things were going to be okay. When they watch that video message, for many of them, it's their first laugh or smile that day. And it's a reminder to them that they can do this.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock. He's the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You. You can find more information on the website, fleeceandthankyou.org. And your organization also has an affiliation, interestingly enough, with Lay's potato chips. What is that affiliation, and how did that come to be?
So I think it was two summers ago, Lay's reached out to us, and they were identifying just smile makers around the country. And so they picked, I think it was a top 30 smile maker group. And we were all each featured on hundreds of millions of bags of potato chips, where our smile was on the front of the bag and our story was on the back. It was really huge for us as far as an awareness campaign, and a testament, to all the support, the many people that make us possible, that someone as big as Lay's has, called us a smile maker. And that's exactly what we intend to keep on doing.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock, the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You, with us today on the MegaCast. And Nicholas, you have a history of working in nonprofits and currently running this organization to create 30,000 blankets a year for these kids and to distribute them. Not only does it take a gargantuan effort of volunteer work, but you also said you have 3 full-time employees. You're also doing a lot of legwork of this organization as well. In terms of donations, beyond just the blankets for these kids, what else is needed for your organization to continue to provide this incredible service to children who are in hospitals all throughout the state?
Yeah, we partner a ton with corporations or large groups to fund some of our fabric up front, to fund a lot of, the different inventory types of implications that comes with housing and distributing 30,000 blankets a year. So there's some really neat ways that we can get corporations, larger groups involved beyond blanket making, and just promote their brand and go together into the hospital to support these kids. We're always looking for big and small things. Eagle Scouts are a big one. We love having Eagle Scout projects. So anything from the small classroom all the way up to the corporation of thousands, we have a way to engage with the group.
And these materials, they're not cheap either to create blankets that are substantial for these kids. Are people also able to donate materials to your organization if they have either some extras or if they just want to go out and provide something that is going to go to good use in our community?
Yeah, we do always accept materials donations for sure. Hospitals are very specific now to the point where the blanket kits that we produce in our warehouse are exactly the size, shape, and specs that they want. So we do always prefer that someone's using our kits. We do absolutely accept donations of materials and make sure that we can turn that into a blanket kit and get it onto a hospital bed.
Nicholas Kristock with us. He's the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You. Find more information on the website, fleeceandthankyou.org. And Nicholas, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to know about your organization, or anything else interesting that you believe would be good for us to know?
Yeah, it's one of our more untold stories, but early on we saw that the back end process of Fleece and Thank You had a lot of simple and repeatable tasks. And so going back 5 years now, we've engaged with multiple different community partners that have young adults and adults with different cognitive and physical impairments that come to our warehouse 3 days a week. And we have a workforce development program where they're actually helping with all the back end processes of Fleece and Thank You, the cutting of the fabric, the heat pressing of the patch, the folding, the rolling, the bagging, the quality control. They're really integral in all parts of the process here at the office. And that's a really huge part of what we do, because we honestly couldn't do what we do on a production and manufacturing and distribution side without that support and that workforce development program that's so key.
Nicholas Kristock with us on the MegaCast. He is the executive director and the founder of Fleece and Thank You. And Nicholas, before we let you go, I just want to get the backstory. How did you come up with the name and choose the name of Fleece and Thank You for this organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was just, as I was talking to my sister, learning about the blankets, I realized blankets, were fleece. And I was just writing down all the words that rhymed with fleece just to kind of iterate on the idea, and end up writing down this phrase, please and thank you. And I just stared at it and said, please and thank you. Okay, Fleece and Thank You. It makes a lot of sense. We deliver a fleece blanket, and there's that thank you message that can come back to the person that makes it. And we had a winner.
Nicholas Kristock with us, executive director and founder of Fleece and Thank You. Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thank you so much for helping us share our story.